Hello, it's Molly with Bridget's Grove and 30 Days of Goddess with this week's 5 to 7 minute mini ritual drawing upon woman runes and the 30 Days of Goddess daily practice deck plus expansions. The 30 Days of Goddess practice deck can be used as a standalone mini ritual experience. It does not need to be associated with any other practices. It can just be used and incorporated into your existing daily practice just as it is, nothing else required. It's a standalone deck. Anyway, from Woman Runes, we got the whole moon, the rune of cycles, moon energy and mysteries. And I actually am going to confess that I find this a difficult rune for me to connect to or for me to bring into practice when I see it. So I love the moon and I love the notion of working with the whole moon, and I'm very synced up with moon phases. I pay close attention to what the moon is doing, etc. But then the whole moon itself is a rune. I find one of the runes from the deck that I don't necessarily connect with. So many of the other ones are just deeply embedded into me. They're part of like the language of my being. And this rune is less so. So that's worth exploring in and of itself. And I'd love to hear, like, what do you see in the whole moon? What does the whole moon mean to you when you see it? So for me, it reminds us to trust in that wisdom of cycles, the ebbs and flows, the cycles of rest and renewal, the cycles of generativity and creativity and rest, and that all things kind of ebb and flow in a cycle, and to not get too overly attached to any one point, because there will be a waxing and waning. There will be an ebbing and a flowing. There will be a cycle. There will be a pause. There will be activity. There will be an ongoing cycle of change. And so it makes me think of change. It makes me think of ebbs and flows. It makes me think of waxing and waning, etc. So what is waxing and waning in your life? Where is the whole moon showing up for you? Because it also can remind us of wholeness in general, like that we each contain multitudes, to quote Walt Whitman. But we each contain, all the phases in one. Sometimes we're tired. Sometimes we're full of enthusiasm and creativity. Sometimes we feel dark and shadowed and like curling away. And the moon herself is always whole. We just can't always see it. And that is true of ourselves too. We are always whole and we can't always see that wholeness. And sometimes we get stuck in a phase and think that's the totality of who we are, instead of remembering that we have many faces and phases, but they're all contained within that wholeness. So I guess I do have some things to say about the rune after all. And then daily practice deck is split into prompts, practices, and prayers. And so for the word, we got wonder. So may you allow yourself some time to wonder. And when I think about this word, it's not just wondering. I think primarily in terms of wondering, like being amazed, being awestruck, looking at your world through eyes of wonder, being amazed at what you see. But also you might have questions. You might be wondering about things. So may you allow yourself to wonder. May you inhabit wonder. May you embrace wonder. And may you not be afraid to wonder and wander. And the practice, kneel in child's pose, hands open. I find this such a restorative. It's so restorative to kneel in child's pose. And you can kneel with your knees apart. You can put your knees together. You can kind of tuck your arms behind you so they curl around your feet, or you can spread your arms in front of you. This particular suggestion is to extend them in front of you with your palms open, instead of closing them around your head or tucking them behind you. But anyway, child's pose, lovely and restorative. I literally just did this today. I was doing Meet Her at the Altar with Woman Spirit Reclamation, and we were doing a guided meditation, a descent journey. And I really felt a strong inner pull from my body to kneel down in child's pose instead of continuing to sit for the meditation. And so I did, and it was just what I needed. In that particular case, I rested my forehead against my hands. But anyway, that was a little bit of a side note. Anyway, kneel in child's pose whenever you can. Sometimes I think of that as kneeling at the feet of mystery or kneeling before the infinite. And then, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do our affirmations / reminder from the Cut Your Own expansions for 30 Days of Goddess. And then I'm going to do the prayer. The prayer is actually from the booster pack, which incorporates into the existing deck. Sometimes we must let old plans depart, old visions crumble, old ideas be laid to rest. Sometimes we must wait, stripped back and stumbling, hands open and hearts raw, trusting in what wants to rise. So what do you need to let depart, crumble, or be laid to rest? Like, what do you need to let go of? Sometimes we need to let things go and then trust in what wants to rise. So you might be clinging to something that needs to be laid to rest. You might be grasping at something that is an idea that has run its course. And so what might those things be for you? And now for our prayer to close us out for today. Nice deep breath. For a moment, allow the gentle touch of presence to uplift you. Cool wind kissing your face, earth holding your body, fire warming your center, water moving in your cells, your own self an elemental altar, your life a living prayer. Thank you so much for being here, and may you remember that your life is a living prayer. It's okay to wonder about that. It's okay to move through all your phases and to trust in your own wholeness. It's okay to let things crack apart and dissolve, and in general, holding that awareness of wholeness and the fact that you are an elemental altar and that your life is a living prayer. May you let that seep into you. May you let that soak into you. May you know it to be true. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.